Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you the final part of Elements, Crochet Along designed by Sandra from Hooks and Yarn. We'll be doing the border during this part, so this is the final part of the blanket. Here you see all the squares and the large center square. So we're doing the border for part 12. I'm using two hook sizes for this part, both a 4mm and a 3.5mm, because for the last two rounds I'm dropping a hook size. Using this hook together with Scheepjes stonewashed yarn, as I have been using for the entire project of Elements. Take you step by step through the rounds that make up the border. Thank you for watching. I hope it's a useful video for you. Round 1 of the border. What we're going to do is going to start in any of the corners of the 4 edges of the blanket, so the outer corner of the small square. So this is one small square and here's the next small square. What we're going to be doing is on the first 3 squares we're going to work 29 single crochets on each square, and then in the center square, so square number 4, we're going to do something slightly different, and then in the last 3 squares again 29 single crochets. That means we're going to skipping the joins, so we're going to be skipping the joins. So in each square 29 single crochets for the first 3. So I'm just going to start. If you look here at the corner space, that's the chain 1 corner space, so go to that first single crochet. I'm going to start there with a standing single. Then this is the first single crochet of 29, so that's 1, and I'm going to do 2, and then just move until I get to 29. So this is 3, 4. I have 2 stitches left. Started here on this side with that standing single crochet. I've now done 27. I've got 2 stitches left here. This is 28. And the last one 29. 29 single crochets. I'm going to skip the join and then go to the first stitch on the other side. You see here, there's the first single crochet, that one there. And when you're in doubt, work a stitch here, and when you come to the other side you've only got 28, you know, okay, that should have been the first stitch. That's my first stitch there, and this can be a little hard to see, and like I say, sometimes just make your best estimate of where that stitch is. See, but I'm going to skip the join, and this is then again number 1 of 29, so that's 1, and then this is 2 and 3, 4. Again I'm going to continue until to the next join. So I'm going to do this again for 2 more squares, and then I'll see you again. So work 29 stitches on square number 1. Here square number 2, skipping the second join, and square number 3. So I'm going to work 23 on this one also, and then I'll just see you here at this point where we go from square number 3 to square number 4. So I'll see you at that point, and then you'll have worked 3 times 29 stitches. I've now worked 3 squares with 29 single crochets each. So you see there's that jump from 2 to 3, and now we go from 3 to 4. So in square number 4 is in the center of the 7 squares you've got on each side. You're going to again skip the join and then go to the first stitch on the other side. That's this stitch here, just like you've done on the other squares. But now you're going to work 14 singles. So that's 1, 2, 3, and continue until you have 14 singles. That will bring you to exactly the middle of your blanket, the center point. So I'm going to do 14 single crochets. That was 14 single crochets, and now you're dead center in your blanket. The next stitch we're going to work a front post treble around. So this stitch, so that's a single crochet that's in this stitch, you're going to work a front post treble around that. So twice over and come down and around this stitch work a front post treble. Skipping the stitch to the back in the next stitch. See, I'm skipping one stitch in the next, work a single, and this is again the first of 14, which will bring you to this side of the square. And then you're going to do exactly the same on this side as you did on the other side. Work 14 single crochets. You get here, again skip the join, exactly the same as before. I'm going to work these yarn tails in when I feel like it, and then again go on this side and work again 29 single crochets, and then you work 29 singles on each square till you get to the corner. So I'm just going to work this edge, and then I'll just show you the corner, and then you do everything on 3 more sides. I'm going to work 14 and then 3 times 29 on my remaining 3 squares. And now at the other side, I'm at the next corner. So what I've done, just look at our work, which is a disaster to get in front of the camera because it's so big at this point, is this was the center square. So you had the 14 singles, then you did the front post treble, 14 singles, and then 29 on this square, skipping the join, 29 on the next square, skipping the join, and then 29 single crochets on the last square. That should bring you to the very last stitch. I'm going to do a chain 2, 1, 2, and then on your next edge the first stitch, so you have that little chain 1, you skip that, go to the first single crochet, work a single in there, and that's the start of this stretch edge where you're going to do exactly the same. So 29 singles for the first 3 squares. Then in that center square you work it like this, so the 14, the front post treble, skipping the stitch to the back, and the 14 singles, and then again 3 times 29 singles. Go all the way around and close on your first stitch with a slip stitch. That would be after a chain 2. So when you get to the last corner, you do that last single crochet, then you do the chain 2, and then you close on your first single. Round 2 of the border, you're going to work a half double in every stitch, and in the chain 2 corner space you work a half double, chain 2 and a half double. That's what you're going to do. I'm going to use the same color, so I'm going to just continue where I was with the previous round. We're currently in that first stitch with a slip stitch. I'm going to do a chain 2 here. This is my first half double. If you're using a new color yarn, you can, for example, start in that stitch with a standing half double. Also good. So this is the first half double. And now I'm going to do one on each stitch, and that's going to be 203. That will bring you to the other side. Then when you get to your chain 2 corner space on the other side, in that chain 2 space you work a half double, chain 2 and a half double, and then continue on your next edge. Go all the way around, and then when you get to the first stitch you close with the slip stitch. You're of course going to work your last corner. You'll work your last corner here, so a half double, chain 2 and a half double, and then in this case close on the chain 2 or on your standing stitch, whichever you've done. So this is a nice snooze round. Go all the way around, work a half double on every stitch. Round 3 of the border. I have the same color yarn on my hook as rounds 1 and 2, but I've decided to actually tie off and start again with the new color yarn with the slip knot on my hook, because I think that's just easier to start this round with. And if you're using a new color yarn, then of course you're going to start this way. Go to start in any corner and then go to the 4th stitch. Now take note, this first half double here, that one, it's easy to skip this one, but that's your first stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And in this fourth stitch, I'm going to start in there with a double crochet. That's the start of our granny special stitch. We're going to work a double crochet in there. The treble is going to be around this stitch, and then the treble again, or the double crochet again up there. So that's what we're going to be doing. So the first one is of course a standing double crochet. So in stitch number 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, standing double crochet. Then twice over, and then the treble is in the third stitch from round 1. Around that stitch, do the treble, 2, 3, and then come back up and work a double crochet in the same stitch. That's your granny special. Going to skip 2 stitches and then do exactly the same. So it's 1, 2, skip, and then work the double crochet twice over, then come down into the same stitch and work the treble, and then work the double crochet again in that same stitch in the top. I'm going to repeat this a total of, I believe, 32 or 33 times. So skip 1, 2 stitches and then go to the next. And that's going to bring you to the center of the blanket where we had that one front post stitch. And then I'll just show you how to work your granny special there. But you're going to continue this, skipping 2 stitches and then work a granny special. So you're going to skip 1, 2 stitches and then work the next treble, the double crochet, then the treble is in again, also here skipping 1, 2 stitches and then work the treble, and then come back up and work the double crochet again in the same stitch. So you've now seen I've done 4 of them. I'm going to continue until I'm to the center of the blanket, and then I'll just show you what to do there. I'm now almost halfway. Here's that front post treble we did halfway. You now have 33 of these granny special groups since the corner, so you've got 33 of these. Now go to a granny special in that stitch with the treble around the treble here, and then continue on the other side where we're again going to make 33 of these granny special groups. So I'm going to skip 1, 2 stitches and then go to the next again. So this is exactly the same as before. And then going to work that treble around the front post treble. Now for me, I notice that my treble just falls a little bit to the side. Maybe yours will be straighter than mine, but don't worry about that. Like so. So you can see my treble just falls a little bit that way. You'll also notice that I've got 3 single crochets here, so I'm skipping 3 here, so really working around that front post treble there. I'm going to skip 1, 2 stitches and then go to the third, which is going to be the first of my next series of granny specials. Down here again we should skip 1, 2 stitches and then go to the third there and work your treble in that third stitch. So skipping 1, 2 stitches and then go there for the front post treble, and then in that same stitch to the back complete the granny special. I've noticed that this pulls my front post treble really skew if I go to that stitch. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go to this stitch here, and this is just a little bit of fudging that I'm doing, because I'm suspecting that some of my stitches just don't line up as well as they do in the designer's work. So I'm just going to skip not 2 stitches here, but only 1, and work my front post treble in there, and then complete my granny special, because that will bring everything just, you see how this line is more straight now. It's just as straight as you have it over here, and that's what you want. I think that has to do with the fact that I somehow seem to have these two stitches yeah, into swaps around, so I don't know exactly what happened there, but this is my way of making sure that everything remains straight. Because at the end of the day, everything's going to be fine, because here at the top we're still continuously skipping 2 stitches, and that's what you want. That will mean your stitch count is fine. So I'm going to now continue until I get to the corner. So I skip 2 stitches. In the background you'll hear my cat going nuts. He's playing. So I'm skipping 2 stitches, and now I can just continue exactly the way as before. So I'm skipping 1, 2 stitches, and then in the third work that front post, the treble, and complete with a double crochet in the same stitch. So you see there I've skipped 2 stitches between those trebles. And that's what you're going to do until the corner. You're again going to work 33 of these units. So I'm going to do 1, 2 stitches skip, and then work the double crochet. Then here at the bottom do 2 stitches skip, and then work the treble. And then complete with the double. So I've now worked 3 of these. You need 30 more, and that will bring you to the corner. Then I'll just show you the corner. I'm now almost to the corner. I've again got 33 of these Granny Special groups since that center one that's way back, so I can't show it to you now. The blanket's just too large. At this point I've got 3 stitches left, exactly the same as what we started with. We skipped 3 stitches at the beginning, so I'm doing the same here. And then in the corner, work a granny corner. So it's going to be in there a double crochet. The treble, work around that space from row 1. It's going to be that one there. Another double crochet at the top. Chain 2. Followed by a double crochet twice over, and then the treble in that space from round 1, and then the double crochet again in the top. And there we go. And now you've worked the entire row, so the rest you're going to do exactly the same on your next row, so the next straight side. I just slightly turn it. So again going to skip 3 stitches and then work exactly the same. And remember that first one, that's this first one. You see it's very hard to see that first stitch. That's 1, 2, 3, and then start in stitch number 4, 4th stitch with the double crochet. And then the treble around the 3rd one, so that's 1, 2, 3. And here, and if you find that, for example, that you don't like that your treble isn't straight enough, you can sure consider just going 1 stitch back. Or if you find that your treble leans to mat this way, go 1 stitch forward. So just kind of line up your trebles nicely here in this first stitch, and then you can use the rest, and then the rest will be fine. That's my first one. Then again skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then work the next Granny Special, and then skipping 2 stitches down here also, and work your next treble, etc, etc, etc. So you're going to do this all the way around. So I'm going to complete this special that goes to the center and all the corners and everything. And then after your last one, you're going to work your corner and then close on that first stitch, which is going to be equivalent of this stitch with a slip stitch. For the next round I'll be using a new color. Round 4 of the border. You can start in any corner space. I have a new color yarn on my hook, and in the corner you're going to be making a granny corner, and then in all the spaces up until the other side we're going to be making a granny special. That's what we're doing in this round. So I'm going to just start with the corner. I'm going to start with a standing double crochet. That's for the first double. twice over, and then in that space there for the treble of the corner, a double crochet in the top space. I mean, you've made many of these before. Chain 2, then another double crochet, treble in the chain space 1 row down, and then another double crochet back up. This is a familiar corner to you. We're now going to work in all these spaces. We're going to work granny specials, and I'll just show you the first few, and this, there is a bit of you're kind of going to eyeball this round. So in each space work, of course you work first a double crochet in that space there, then twice over for the treble, and the treble going to work around these half doubles from round 2. And like I said, you're just kind of going to eyeball where you put that treble, just which treble looks, where does a treble look best. And yeah, maybe sometimes maybe you take one stitch to the left or one stitch to the right compared to me, and that's not so critical. Just eyeball where does it look good. So this is a bit of an intuitive round in that respect. Then I go to the next one. So the double crochet, and if I then look here, I see okay, that treble looks this stitch here, that half double looks like a good place for the treble. So, and then around that stitch work the front post. So you're just aiming that your trebles are a bit straight. So if it stands at an angle, well then take the stitch next to it to make it more straight. And the double crochet. And same with the next space. And you're going to continue this until you're to the other side. When you're on the other side, work a corner, a granny corner, and then you go all the way around. There we go. So I've now done 3 with you. You see I've done those 3 trebles there and the corner. So continue all the way around. When you're here after this last one, close on that first stitch, that first standing stitch with a slip stitch. After round 4 is a good moment to extend your border if you want to. I've already done so. You see here, this was round 4, and then you continue each round and adding in essence the same stitch pattern as we've done before. So what you do is in the corner you do a granny corner, and then in the spaces, the natural spaces that are forming, you work the granny special with the stitch around the trebles that you already have. And that way you can extend your border to, well, as far as you like. I've added about 5 extra rounds of granny special stitches, so 5 extra rounds, and then I'll do the rounds 5 and 6 from the pattern. If you want to extend your border, this is a moment to do so. Round 5 of the border, I have a new color yarn on my hook. I'm going to start in any corner. If you look at your stitches, I'm going to start in that first treble you have there. In that stitch, I'm going to start with a single crochet. So in that second stitch, for that treble there, work a standing single crochet. In the next stitch, work a single. Now I'm going to work a front post treble around the treble here, 2 rows down. Twice over, around that stitch, work a front post treble. And 3. The next stitch we're going to skip. So immediately this stitch we're going to skip. Then go to the next stitch, which will again be the treble. And in that stitch work a single. So 1 single, and next again work a single. Next up is a treble work a front post treble around that, and then again skip a stitch to the back. See, skipping a stitch, then go to the next, which will again be the treble, and work a single. You're going to continue this until you're to the other side. So you're working a treble around the treble, and skipping the stitch to the back, and work 2 singles. The first single will be in this front post treble here at the top. First single, and then come down and work a treble around the treble 2 rows down. So continue this until you're to the other side. See? And then I'll just show you how to do the corner. So continue this until you're to the other side. Almost to the corner, just done those 2 single crochets there, so I'm going to work the treble here, skip a stitch, and then work 2 singles on the last 2 stitches. So the front post trebles, my last front post treble, skipping 1 stitch to the back, see I'm skipping a stitch, and then the last 2 singles work a single crochet in each, and the last 2 stitches work a single in each. The chain 2 corner space, work 2 singles, 1, 2, chain 1. If you have trouble finding this chain 1 later, you can put a stitch marker here, or you can do a chain 2 if that'll make life easier for you, depending on what you want. I'm just going to stick to the chain 1 and then work 2 more singles in the corner. So your corner is 2 singles, chain 1 and 2 singles. Straight edge, going to do the same as before. So we're going to skip this first stitch and start here in the second, which is the treble. Start in there with a single crochet. So it's 1 single, the second single, then the treble, work a front post treble around that. So come down 2 rows, skipping a stitch to the back, skipping the next stitch, work 2 singles. And this you're going to repeat until you're to the other side. So again, now it's the treble here, skipping that stitch, then work 2 singles. Until you're to the other side, in the corner you work 2 singles, chain 1, or chain 2 if you prefer, and 2 singles. Go all the way around, and then close on your first standing single crochet. For the last rounds of the blankets, for the border, I'm just going to drop a hook size. I'm going to go down by 1/2 millimeter. This is the 3.5. So whichever hook size you're using, just drop 1 hook size for these last 2 rounds. That's just to get the edge a bit tighter so it doesn't wobble so much. For this round, we're going to work in the chain 1 corner space, a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and then in every stitch we work a single crochet all the way round. Just get you started. You see there's the chain 1 space. If you don't find it easily, just mark your chain 1 space. That's your chain 1 space. So single crochet, chain 1. So you can mark this stitch if it'll help you find it for the next round. And then in that same space, work another single. So that's your new corner. Single, chain 1, single. Now we're going to work a single on every stitch till we're to the other side. Especially this first one here, be sure not to accidentally miss it. So work a single crochet on every stitch. When you get to the corner, work to the chain 1 space. It's a single, chain 1 and a single in that space. Go all the way around. When you get to the first stitch, close on that stitch with a slip stitch. Round 7, last round of the border. Going to start in any chain 1 space you have at the edge of your blanket. In there, going to start with 3 half doubles. I'm just going to insert my hook here. There's the chain 1. It's this space here. Just going to insert my hook there. I'm just going to start with a chain 2. You can also start with a standing half double if you prefer. Chain 2, and then 2 more half doubles in that same space. So in the corner you're going to do 3 half doubles. 3 half doubles, so it's a chain 2 plus 2. I'm going to skip the first stitch, that's that one, then in the next stitch work a half double, and then work a half double in every stitch until you're halfway. If you've added rows, your halfway point will of course be a different number of stitches than if you have not added rows. You're going to go until you're halfway with the half doubles, and then on that halfway point you're going to work a front post double. I'm just going to continue here until I'm halfway, and then I'll just show you what I mean with that halfway point. So in the corner you work 3 half doubles, skip the first stitch, and then a half double in every stitch. I'm almost halfway the blanket now. This is what I'd like to show you. You're doing your half doubles. When you come to this point here, you see here we have that line where we started that first half double also in the small square. You see you've got this line here. When you get to this point for this stitch, don't work a half double, but work a front post double around the treble. Then skip the stitch here to the back and continue with half doubles on every stitch. That's what we're going to do. I'll just zoom in and show you again. So these last few stitches, so I'm going to do a half double, then another half double, and now I'm above this stitch where this treble, this is my center line here. So around that stitch, I'm just going to work a front post double crochet, then skip one stitch to the back, and work a half double again. Going to work a half double till you get to the chain 1 corner space. Then in that chain 1 work 3 half doubles. Go all the way around, and when you get to the first stitch, go close on that first stitch, for example with an invisible join. When you're all done, work away your last yarn tails, and then this is what your border looks like. You've completed elements at this point. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again for a new project.